I think Onision is innocent because, like, if he was guilty, he would already be in trouble.
You see that? You see that? You see what he's assuming there? He's assuming he wants to believe that Onision is innocent because if he were not innocent in a world of rational people, he would already be arrested. He would already be in jail.
Really well. The accusations made against him are incredible. And he's obviously innocent because the accusations that are made against him are like really big felonies. And if they were true or even halfway credible, he would already be in jail.
The false step he's taking here is that he wants it to make sense. A lot of things in life, kid, do not make sense. Everyone likes a good fallacy. I'm going to coin one right now. I am going to start speaking in terms of the rational actor fallacy. This is when you talk about politics, or you talk about your personal life, or you talk about a legal case before the court, with the unreasonable assumption that all human beings are rational actors. So, my girlfriend's been catching up with me in the history and politics of China. Have you yet had the conversation with someone where you say to them as politely as possible, you know, the guy who's on the Chinese $100 bill, he murdered more than 30 million people? And they say back to you, no, that's impossible. Because if that were true, his face wouldn't be on the $100 bill. He wouldn't be celebrated. There's no way rational human beings would just cover over the deaths of more than 30 million people and just get on with their lives and still celebrate the person who's responsible for mass murder, mass starvation, mass atrocities as if it's no problem. That would never happen because human beings make sense. It's coming. You haven't had this yet? Okay, my girlfriend hasn't had this experience yet. Sooner or later, it's coming. There are so many things in the history of the world. And look, I mean, like, hey, you know what? I still feel blessed in this respect. I spoke to people in Southeast Asia who really did not know that white people were not the indigenous population of Canada, the United States, and Australia. Where I was the first person to explain to them, you know, white people on all those continents, they came from Europe, and there were other people living there before, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I got the response, that's crazy, that's impossible, like if that were true, no one would put up with it. I won't get into the stories, but I also have similar parallel stories where I was talking to people there. Okay, really briefly, once someone there said to me that they felt the government of Laos, this is Laos, the country next door to Vietnam and Cambodia, that it was lying to them because when they told the history of the war between the United States and Vietnam, they only talked about the Americans dropping bombs on Laos and Vietnam, and they never talked about the airplanes that went from Vietnam to the United States and dropped bombs in the United States. And I said, I happen to have the number of airplanes that did that memorized. Would you like to guess how many airplanes flew from Vietnam to the United States and bombed the United States? Because I have it memorized. The number is 0. It was a completely asymmetrical war. The Americans bombed Vietnam. Vietnam never sent airplanes to the United States. It never happened. There was 0. And the person said to me, that's crazy. That's impossible. Like if what you're saying is true, then the whole war doesn't make any sense. Guess what? The Vietnam War doesn't make any sense. We so many examples of this. We had a great conversation the other day about American drug policy. You know, it doesn't make sense that the CIA would be involved in drug dealing. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, well, it happened. Okay, history of Napoleon in Europe. Long list of things Napoleon did don't make any sense. I'm calling this the rational actor fallacy, whether it is in politics or in your personal life. Here you go, kid. Hit it.
I think Onision is innocent because, like, if he was guilty, he would already be in trouble, right?
You see that? You see that? You see what he's assuming there? He's assuming he wants to believe that Onision is innocent. Because if Onision, if he were not innocent, in a world of rational people, he would already be arrested. He would already be in jail.
But there's all this drama surrounding his channel, and it makes it doesn't really make much sense to me. Although I understand everybody, it's
the false step he's taking here is that he wants it to make sense. A lot of things in life, kid, do not make sense.
I understand the mob that was attacking me, and I understand the mob that's attacking Onision. What is really damaging. So you look at guys like Onision, and he's handling it really well. The accusations made against him are incredible, and he's obviously innocent because the accusations that are made against him are like really big felonies. And if they were true or even halfway credible, he would already be in jail. So it's just obvious he didn't do it. So, but he's handling it really well. He's been able to turn a profit out of this. He's been able to kind of like trim the fat on his fan base and get now the only people that are watching him now at this point are the people who love him. And I admire what he's doing because this is one of the biggest fears I have. I think this is the reason why there's not more creators on YouTube, is because they're scared of everybody knows the mob exists, and when you step on the wrong person's toes, the mob will attack you. But he's handling it like he's so well. I really admire him. I'm watching him very closely right now to see how he navigates through this, because it's giving me confidence.
It is mind-blowing to me that anyone thinks Onision handled this well. It's mind-blowing to me that anyone thinks Onision is innocent, but the fact that I find this mind-blowing is irrelevant. I wanted to draw attention to this rational actor fallacy, like the assumption that the world makes sense and what people do make sense. Therefore, if he had done anything wrong, he'd already be in jail. No. On the contrary, like when studying history, you're studying the accretion of, the accumulation of completely irrational, self-contradictory facts. They're not rational. They're merely factual. That's merely what happened. Like, how is it possible that Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin fought on the same side in World War II and then turned around and 5 minutes later fought on opposite sides? And it's even more complicated when you include Japan, because Japan had a treaty with Russia, and then all of a sudden they were fighting against Russia and nobody knew what was going on. It makes no sense. And if you're reading that history step by step, you're looking at it and saying, this is crazy, what are you guys doing? And millions of people are going to die, and they're dying fighting one side, and then they're turning around and fighting the other side. One can't even say this is the tragedy of history. It's the arbitrariness of history. But, that's talking on a grand scale about millions of people. On this most intimate scale, life gets even more arbitrary. And how did Onision even end up married to this particular woman who later decided to identify as a man? I mean, can we admit to ourselves just how arbitrary and almost random it is that, like drawing a name out of a hat, he drew her comment off of Twitter and met up with her and married her? There's this crazy cascading sequence of almost random, seemingly arbitrary events. And I'm not removing his responsibility in any way whatsoever, but, at any stage, you can stop and look at the decisions these people are making and say, this is irrational, this is crazy, this is impossible. Why did Onision have to sleep with his own babysitter? Anyone could have given him better advice. Anyone could have made a better decision. But you're just looking back at these contradictory, irrational facts as they accumulate. And as soon as you take that step that seems judicious and seems detached, to take a step back and say, wait, guys, this doesn't make any sense, you're actually taking a step from sense into nonsense. You're taking a step from fact into fiction. In movies, all of the fictional characters do things that make sense. And in real life, real people are doing nonsensical and contradictory things all the time.
dun, dun, dun.